Hey, welcome back to yet another edition of Buffalo Bills pregame. We assumed that we'd be back for a after the Bills head coaching search was over, and here it is, faster than we ever expected. We got a lean and mean episode with you, just Sean and I here to discuss the cold hard facts of the Bills hiring Joe Brady. Is it going to be hard for you to root for someone whose last name is Brady, Sean?
Yeah. Although I will say, if they had hired Tom Brady in any sense, I probably still would have rooted for him because it's the Bills. So,
There you go. So there's not a villainous enough in the NFL orbit that would cause you to root against the Bills. That's good to know.
so
Uh,
Steph Diggs.
except, well, I think he has enough other things going on to take on a coaching role while playing. Probably too much to ask. Uh, it would seem that the players probably had a big say in this, that they liked the locker room the way it was. That seems to be like the strongest argument in favor of this move is the continuity between the regimes. What is your knee-jerk reaction, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, my initial reaction yesterday, or what was it, 2 days ago now, I guess, was I was very mad. I think that a lot of people were expecting to go in a bigger direction, change it up more, I mean. Um, and nothing. We're getting, it feels like the less splashy move, the more of all the same things we've had in the past. And that's kind of disappointing. But then after I've heard some analysts talk about it, it's a Super Bowl team, right? And you don't want to change too much. You don't want to have to go through all the growing pains of a new OC that, Josh, we've already seen that with Josh, with, Ken Dorsey and Brady in the beginning. And yeah, I think they were just wanting continuity, and hopefully a lot of the coaches stay the same. Hopefully they get a new defensive, and that's the biggest thing I think here. If they get a really good defensive coordinator, that'll make a huge difference because I will say one of the things I saw on social media was Jerry Hughes saying how pissed he was in that 13 seconds game, which apparently is the impetus of, most of this, is that they played prevent defense and he was pissed. And he thinks that's the reason that McDermott was fired is that game and playing prevent defense. And he's his biggest thing is prevent. And also he threw Leslie Frazier under the bus, and Leslie Frazier's going to the Super Bowl now. So
Yeah, I wonder if Frazier would have been willing to even interview for this job. He's probably done with the organization.
yeah.
Um, I thought it was interesting because the Bills probably had far and away the most desirable job in all of football. Essentially, you have the ability to have like the first round pick of all the coaches, and there's high school coaches being out there interviewed for head coaching positions, college, NFL. I mean, there is no one in the football coaching world that you couldn't at least got like a chance at, and we ended up going with someone within the building. So I guess Pegula's hold in very high regard the organization that they have created already, and that there was just some change need to be had. Not too different from the Sabres. I keep bringing it up, but they got rid of Kevin Adams and kept more or less a lot of the same and have had huge success. So it's really hard to say, well, you did this thing over here and you had great success. Try it over here and you won't. You think the Pegulas are seeing their success with the Sabres and hoping it translates to the Buffalo or to the Bills.
It was very confusing to me. I see what you mean. I see like going back to Ruff, someone they who really knew for the hockey team. And I get that. But it was very confusing to me. We were getting reports that like, oh, we're doing interviews in Florida and Boca Raton where I guess Pegula has some whatever property or whatever. And then we're making this decision like very fast. I think the biggest, they were like, oh, we're going to do this, extensive search or blah, blah, blah. But I think what it came down to was because they weren't in on like those first round of interviews that, let's say, my coach that I wanted, Klint Kubiak, or what's his name? Clint,
The Kubiak, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
out of
Kubiak. They
Seattle.
weren't able they weren't able to interview him because they weren't in apparently there's a rule that if you don't get in on that if you don't lose in the wild card round or not a playoff team at all, then you have to wait to the end of the Super Bowl to interview someone because they don't want people being distracted.
Yeah.
which I get. I mean, that makes sense. But it feels like he would have definitely been the guy. But then at the same time, I guess he's probably going to want to be with the Raiders and get Mendoza and be a ball of clay for Tom Brady and that franchise. So yeah, it was very weird. And I guess McDermott did that thing all along, like always going to the same, players that he knew, and I guess that's, normal. I mean, the Patriots did the same thing, with their hire. So, I hope it's good. And, I think it's going to be good, to be honest.
I think the Pegulas have demonstrated that they're comfortable like with people that they know. Like, like I don't know. They're more comfortable with people who are already in their orbit than bringing in someone outside. So I was surprised by the news when I saw it, but I wasn't shocked. I don't know if this is the kind of thing that you pay attention to much, Sean, but the Bills were the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl next year before McDermott got hired or before a new coach was announced. And after a new coach was announced, the Bills are still the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl next year. So do you think this affects our potential outcome next year much at all, or is this more or less a continuation of the same coaching organization?
I think if they hire um, the guy from the Broncos to be their defensive coordinator, they will have a much more aggressive defense, you know, um, and I think that is fantastic. I think that's where they went wrong with all the years with not getting Mahomes. We said that in the playoffs even before those games. Why did we lose? Well, we couldn't get to the quarterback. And McDermott said that almost every year they lost. Um, and I just think getting some more players in there, they're going to be able to fit a different scheme, are just going to make all the world of difference. And obviously, we already know they were fourth in points. I mean, if you clean up your defense, I think you get less injuries that way for some. There's got to be a correlation there. I wonder. I would wonder if you look at like advanced analytics of like types of plays of defense and injury rates. I wonder if there's something there. But yeah, I do think you got Josh Allen. Like you should always be in the top of that.
Absolutely, and so maybe a few sacks there in our two playoff games this season makes a difference in us playing, for a championship. Is there any final thoughts before we wrap up here our coaching edition? Anything that you wanted to crowbar in before we're gone until the preseason?
No, I mean, I obviously, this is all on Beane now, and I wonder what his leash is to be like, all right, if things are not going well in the beginning of the season, are we firing a coordinator or like what are we doing? Because this is a Super Bowl or bust team, and you put everything on Beane. You promoted him, and you still have a 30-year-old Josh. I mean, which hopefully he plays as long as Brady did. So what is that? Another 10 years plus. Um, so it's all on that, and so get him a number one receiver. Stop with this everybody eats stuff because obviously that didn't work unless you have like, Cincinnati Bengal level receivers like at every, 1 through 3 at least.
Mhm.
And a number one that can dominate. I mean, come on. We saw what Brandon Cooks did. He dominated. That's the type of guy you need, whether it's in the draft or free agency.
Awesome. Well, we'll see what influence Joe Brady's got over the draft this year, and we'll be back to talk about it. Best of luck to our producer who's recovering from wisdom tooth surgery today. Jared, thank you so much for toughing out and making Buffalo pregame happen once again. And you, the good folks out there in the viewing public, be sure to like and subscribe and support our channel. It means a lot, and we'll be sure to talk to you real soon. Otherwise, see you soon.
Peace.
I didn't write anything down to throw. I'm sorry, Jared. I don't know. For tradition's sake, my scrunchie.